Good evening. How's everyone doing? Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. So hope everyone's doing well. We're going to con we're
Thank you.
going to Great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So tonight we're going to continue with the halachos about Pesach. And so last week we spoke about first we talk about the stuff that happens to happen before Pesach. And as we go through the halachos, we'll eventually start to talk about the stuff that happens on Pesach itself. So right now we're still in the pre-Pesach halachas. Last week we spoke about the halachas of checking for chametz and nullifying the chametz. And now we're going to talk about the halachas that happen on Erev Pesach, right before Pesach itself. So first is just the different things. Different tefillas that are different. The prayers are a little bit different on the day before Pesach. That we leave some stuff out of davening. We don't say Mizmor LaToda. We say Mizmor LaToda during the week, every day. But on Erev Pesach, we don't say it because the Mizmor LaToda is said because of to remember the Korban Toda. And as part of the Korban Toda, the breads, lachme Toda, these breads were brought in their chametz. So one was not allowed to bring the Korban Toda even on Erev Pesach because he was bringing in chametz onto the mizbeach. So that's why they don't. That's why we don't say it on Erev Pesach. We also don't say Lam Netzeach or Keler Chapayim. That's just stuff that's are out of davening. A very interesting idea is that the Ramah, he quotes that the minhag is to make the Erev Chatzeros. I will explain exactly what that means on Erev Pesach, and to use matzah that is made for Pesach, and then basically every Erev Pesach to replace the matzah that's in your Erev. So what am I talking about? What does Erev have to do with matzah? Sounds a little confusing. So really, the idea is that the Gemara in Eruvin talks about it that Shlomo HaMelech he made this decree that one is prohibited. We know that on Shabbos we're prohibited from carrying into one domain, one Rishus HaYachid, into another Rishus HaYachid. That's really the strict letter of the law. But Shlomo Melech also established that this idea of an Erev Chatzeros, that by taking food that's owned by whoever has access to whatever place we're in, and putting in one location, that symbolically, if all our food is one location, it's like we're all eating in one place, and as if the different domains are really connected. That's really what the Erev is. And when we refer to Erev, when we're speaking, we're usually referring to the walls around, but that's not really exactly what the Erev is. That's just sort of what turns it into one domain. But the Erev is really this food, right? That's in one location, and it basically lets us all combine our location so that our main residency is wherever that Erev is. And the minhag is to put that into the shul. And the minhag is also to use matzah, because matzah has pretty long shelf life. So the Ramah says that the minhag is every Erev Pesach to replace that matzah with a different matzah. We learn more about Erev, and then we'll learn more about that halacha. But that's for our purposes why it's relevant on Erev Pesach. There's also halacha on Erev Pesach, which is to fast, the Tainis Bechorim, the fast of the Bechorim, that all Bechorim fast on Erev Pesach until the evening as a zecher to remember the miracle that they were saved from Makas Bechoros, from being killed in the plague of Bechoros. The minhag is that women Bechoros do not fast because they do not have the sanctity of a Bechor. But if a Bechor from the mother or Bechor from the mother, they have to fast. And also, even if you're a Kohen or a Levi, you have to fast. And even a Katan, a child, as long as the child is 30 days old, the father needs to fast for him, according to most opinions. It can get a little complicated if the father himself is also a Bechor. That some say that and then the father can't fast for him because he's fasting for himself. Others disagree about that. That's an interesting discussion. But if it's very difficult for a person to fast and they won't be able to participate in the Seder properly, it is better for them to eat as necessary. If the Bechor is fasting, he should make sure to add an extra tefillas, let's say Anenu during Mincha. But even if there's 10 people fasting, we don't read from the Torah, and we try not to have the Chazan be one who's fasting, because then we're not sure if we should add that into the repetition. But the big discussion, the really big discussion is that what most people do, most people who are Bechor nowadays, is that they go to a Siyum. They go to a Siyum on Erev Pesach. If they go to Siyum, they don't have to fast. So is that allowed? Is there a heter to do so? So the Mishnah Berurah talks about this, and he says it really depends on the custom of the place. That in some places they're strict about this, and they said that the only heter, the only way one would not have to fast is if they attend a bris milah, and not only that, not only they have to actually be the father, or they have to be the sandik at the bris, meaning everyone else needs to fast. But he says that's pretty strict. Mishnah Berurah says in other places, though, the practice is that if the Bechor attends a siyum, or someone's finishing a masechta, then they can eat, and even if they were not the ones to make the siyum themselves. So he says it depends, whatever is the common practice, whoever you are. I think for most of us, the common practice is to be lenient and say, as long as you attend a siyum, you can, a Bechor would be able to eat. There's a discussion, what if you went to a siyum, but you didn't eat there? So would you be able to eat the rest of the day? Let's say you didn't like any of the food. You weren't hungry at that point of the day. Would you be able to eat the rest of the day? So that seems to be a machlokes among later poskim. Some say that the only heter is because you ate at the siyum. So if you don't eat at the siyum, then you can't. They quote from Rav Shlomo Zalman and Rav Elyashiv that once you make the siyum, it's like a yom tov for you. So that day is like a yom tov, and so it's not necessary to eat right during the meal. There's another discussion that what happens if they call the siyum. The siyum is going to be 9:30 in the shul, okay? And so you're like, okay, I know the siyum is there. You get stuck in traffic, and you arrive at the shul. It's 9:50, and the siyum's already done, but everyone is they're eating their bagels, right? So are you able to participate in that siyum because you missed the actual siyum part, but they're eating? So that's another machlokes about among the poskim, and some say you can still eat because the core, the most important part is the meal. That's the same opinion who said that if you don't eat at the meal, you can't eat the rest of the day. So that's the Maram Brisk they quote from. He says that if it's okay if you miss the siyum because the most important part is the meal. As long as you're there for the meal, it's okay. But they quote from Rosh Hashanah and Rav Elyashiv, who were actually more lenient to say that once you have a siyum, it's like a yontif for you. So they're strict about this issue, because if the main part is the siyum and you miss the siyum, then you can't eat anymore. Some Minchas Yaakov, he lets you. He says you can be lenient as long as you help with the siyum in any way. So that's some of the discussions regarding the fast of Bechor. There's also idea that the Ramah brings that one should not eat matzah on Erev Pesach. So that way, when you eat matzah that night, there's like this extra sign of love. It's dear to you, and you'll be excited to eat the matzah. So you should not eat matzah on Erev Pesach. Say if a child doesn't really understand what this whole Pesach is, what Yetzias Mitzrayim is, then it would be permitted for a child to eat. And the Mishnah Berurah says that some people extend this practice. Not only do they not eat matzah on Erev Pesach, but they actually stop eating matzah already from Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Um, I think in my family we stopped. I think we stopped at Purim already. After Purim, we don't eat matzah. I don't know. That's just what I do. I don't like to eat matzah already after Purim. Um, but yeah, I think it's of the same idea though that if you stop eating matzah early, then you're going to be more excited to eat matzah when you get to the Seder. You want to be excited about it. But if you're eating matzah even all the way up to Erev Pesach, then you get to the night of Seder, you're going to be like, okay, it's not as exciting to eat the matzah. And in fact, some people limit their intake of matzah on day one of Pesach. Or if you're in America and you have two Seders, so it's really like the second night of Seder is like maybe the first day. So some people try to limit their matzah intake on day one, so that way they can be excited again to eat matzah on the second night of Pesach when they're making another Seder. Um, the Mishnah Berurah says some people have this practice about maror too, that they don't eat maror for 30 days, or at least Erev Pesach, so that they'll be excited to eat the maror, but he says that's not correct. Um, I don't even know why you would want to eat maror, but the Mishnah Berurah says that that's not correct, then you could eat it in advance. Also, other types of matzah are like there's different types of matzah. It's not really recommended, even if they're kosher for the Seder, or even if they're really chametz. If they have a similar taste to matzah, it's going to still make you less excited to eat the matzah and Erev Pesach. Okay. There's also another discussion that, yeah. So, just eating in general on Erev Pesach is a bit of discussion, because also the halacha is that matzah needs to be eaten l'te'avon, meaning like you should be hungry to eat the matzah. So from the 10th hour of the day and onward, which is pretty late in the day, one should be careful not to have a big meal. Certainly not eat matzah like we discussed, and nothing really too substantial or cooked from the grains. But vegetables or fish, maybe even meat is permitted. Some say wine is permitted, others disagree. I think the key point to remember is with the beer halacha, he he says as follows, that it's basically all dependent on the nature of a person. Person needs to remember to eat matzah and be excited to eat it, and to eat it with a little bit of hunger as well. So if eating a little bit or drinking a little bit, well, you know yourself the best. So if you know that that's going to make you have no appetite and you're not going to be hungry to eat the matzah, then you should be careful not to do that in Erev Pesach. You know your body, so make sure to take appropriate actions, and that's, I think, basically the point there. But that is a big discussion in the Gemaras and Pesachim in the last chapter there. There's also discussion about the malacha, like work. We don't do malacha on Shabbos, so doing malacha on Erev Pesach. So the Shulchan Aruch, he writes that there's a prohibition of doing malacha on Erev Pesach. So, okay, that's news, right? Most of us do malacha on Erev Pesach. We do some sort of malacha. Well, Mishnah Berurah explains why. That this was the time when they would bring the korban Pesach. And the day you bring a korban is really a yontif for you. So Chazal decreed that it's prohibited to do malacha. And even nowadays, when we don't bring a korban Pesach, it's still aser. But Shulchan Aruch, he limits this. He says, yeah, but it's not any malacha. Any malacha that you're doing for the purpose of the holiday is totally fine. It's only when you're getting paid for it. And any really malacha that's not too intense of a malacha is okay. Anything that would help you for the holiday. So it really just limits this a lot, which is why I think most of us probably never even heard of this. But anything that you need to do to prepare for the holiday, which is probably what you're going to be doing anyways, on Erev Pesach, you would be permitted to do. But the big malachos should still be avoided because they may be prohibited. Some places they have the practice to prohibit any malacha from the morning. And if that's the minhag in that place, then you should of course be stringent about doing so. But I think for most of us, that's not really the custom. So as long as the malacha that you're doing is for the purpose of the holiday, which it most probably is, then you are okay. Next issue is, when does chametz become prohibited in a day? Does it become prohibited at Pesach itself or a little bit before Pesach? So that's a discussion. So from Erev Pesach, the 14th of Nisan, from Chatzos, which is midday and onward, it's prohibited midoraisa biblically to eat chametz and benefit from chametz. But once you get to Chatzos, you can no longer eat benefit from chametz according to the Torah. And the rabbis learned this from a pasuk that says lo tochal alav chametz, meaning that from the time that it's allowed to bring the korban Pesach, it's prohibited to eat chametz and derive benefit from chametz. However, that's all according to the Torah obligation. But the Chazal, the rabbis, they added a prohibition of eating chametz from the beginning of the 5th hour of the day already, and the prohibition on benefiting from chametz from the 6th hour, because people can very often mess up the hours. They start eating, they forget, look at the time. So they pushed up these prohibitions a little bit for eating 2 hours and benefiting 1 hour. So that is something to be aware about. I assume that most schools and probably the yeshiva as well, they just send out the times before Pesach and say, you have to stop eating your chametz by this and this time. But that's what it's based on. There's also the idea about bir chametz, which means to destroy the chametz, which we spoke about a little bit last night. Last week. The Torah writes tashbisu, which means you need to destroy the chametz, that you have a positive mitzvah to destroy chametz, or maybe more correctly, to have your chametz destroyed. And that takes place, that obligation, that positive mitzvah takes place starting from chatzos, the middle of the day on Erev Pesach. But the negative commandment of not finding chametz, not seeing chametz, only takes place starting from actually the night when Pesach itself starts. But it's important is that the time of Chatzos, right, the middle of the day on Erev Pesach, that is when the obligation of, like we said, the obligation of destroying the chametz. So that presents some halachos which come out of that before this time, before Chatzos on Erev Pesach. So as if you have chametz in your house and you want to remove the chametz from your house, so all you need to do is just take it out of your house, and you have fulfill your obligation of bir, of destroying the bir means to destroy. So before this time on Erev Pesach, like let's say a few days before, a week before, if I take chametz in my house, put it on the street, and whatever, leave it on the side of the road, some will get it, some maybe not, maybe the animals will get it, I'm fine, I've destroyed it. But once you get to midday on Erev Pesach and afterwards, and including Pesach itself, if you find chametz in your house, you need to destroy it from the world, meaning you need to burn it, throw it in the sea, or maybe flush it down the toilet. It's not enough to just take it and put it on the side of the road. And similarly, this is also important, that bittul, the idea of nullifying the chametz, so that works before the time of Chatzos, before this time on Erev Pesach, which is the middle of the day on Erev Pesach. But once you get to Chatzos, you can no longer do a bittul chametz. You can't nullify your chametz anymore. And Chazal were even more machmir that even if you do nullify your chametz, you would have to remove your chametz from your house. So this is why we make sure to burn our chametz before chatzos, before the middle of the day on Erev Pesach, so that we can do a bittul, we can nullify our chametz after we finish burning our chametz. Because if we wait too long, then we're not able to nullify our chametz afterwards. The Mishnah Berurah writes also that technically there are many different ways to destroy chametz, but usually what we do is we all come to one place and we take our chametz and we throw it in the fire. So why do we only burn our chametz? Maybe we should destroy our chametz in other ways. I can think of many ways I could destroy the chametz. So the Mishnah Berurah explains that there's an opinion in the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, that he says that destroying chametz is only to be done with burning. So So even if we try to be stringent and like the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and burn our chametz, and even if we sell all our chametz, the practice is to make sure to have a little bit of chametz left that we own so that we can burn it. Mishnah Berurah also quotes that it's a good thing to burn your chametz with the hoshanos from Sukkot. That's I think that we try to do that too. I remember doing that in the Sholem every year that we would take the shanas, we take the lulav also and put it in the fire and burn it with our chametz. And the Mishnah Berurah says the reason is since one mitzvah was done with already the hoshanos, so it's good to do another mitzvah with them and burn them with the chametz. So that's the practice there. Regarding the prohibition of benefiting from chametz, so from the time that it's prohibited to derive benefit from chametz, it's for which is from the beginning of the 6th hour. So that means you can't benefit. What does that mean? That you can't smell chametz, you can't feed chametz to your animals, and very importantly, also you can't sell chametz anymore to a non-Jew. So if you're selling your chametz, if a person's selling their chametz, they should make sure to do so before the 6th hour of the day. Some poskim are more lenient about this, but that's really the halacha there. But if you burn your chametz before the 6th hour of the day, this is also a discussion that if you burn your chametz before the 6th hour of the day, maybe you can benefit from the fire because there's no prohibition yet of benefiting from chametz until the 6th hour of the day. So maybe you should be able to, I don't know, take some food and put it over the fire and then cook it because you could benefit from the fire. Our practice is to try to avoid getting any benefit from the fire because be careful, you don't know where the time is going to go, and we don't really do that. But that also is a discussion. And then this is just important to know. Always remind ourselves that Chazal declared, the rabbis declared that any chametz, say you have chametz, and it's in your house and you own it over Pesach. So once Pesach is over, and you no longer have to be careful about chametz, you might think you're all in the clear. So the Chazal declared, the rabbis declared that is actually usher, and not only is it usher, you can't even derive any benefit from that. That's called chametz she'avar alav haPesach. The chametz which passed the Pesach in your possession, you're no longer to benefit. You can no longer benefit from any way. That's a iser derabanan. And then finally, this will be our last discussion for the night, which is the idea of selling one's chametz. The halacha is if a Jew owns chametz, like we spoke about, he needs to destroy it, and if he does not, it's prohibited to benefit from it after Pesach. Right? That's what we said. Chametz shavar al Pesach, chametz that is in your possession over Pesach after Pesach, even though you're allowed to eat chametz again, you can't eat that food anymore. But if you sell it to a non-Jew, then you don't need to destroy the chametz, and you can benefit from the chametz after Pesach because it didn't belong to you over Pesach. It wasn't mine. It belonged to a non-Jew. So once Pesach is over, I can use that chametz. So that's an important concept to understand. But therefore, what we do, most people do, they sell their chametz to a non-Jew over Pesach, and then that way they don't need to get rid of it. And then when Pesach ends, if they can buy their chametz back from the non-Jew, then they can use it. So what many do is that if people are going away for Pesach, they may even sell their entire home for Pesach. Some Sofer advises to leave a room that you don't sell, so that way you can still do a badika chametz. You can check for chametz in that room, and that way you don't need to check your entire house. You can just check that one room, and you could be selling the remainder of your house. Also, any room that you sell that contains chametz, let's say you want to sell one room in your house that has chametz, so you don't need to do a badika to check in that room according to many. Some other halachos about selling chametz is that some are stringent to not to rely on selling chametz for chametz gamor, which is what they call like real chametz as opposed to like it's kitniot or chametz, which is less flour based chametz. some some do sell that anyways. But what our practice is that since selling chametz is complicated, it's for a number of reasons, which we'll discuss. The minhag is to really just appoint a rav to act as your shaliach. You're not selling your chametz to the rabbi. What you're doing is you're appointing the rabbi to be your shaliach, to be your messenger, and he is going to sell your chametz to a non-Jew. And there's a big discussion how you can do that, because there's different issues with how to make an acquisition, and because where it gets complicated is that normally when you sell something, you need to the person who's acquiring it needs to pick it up, but it would be very difficult for the uh for the person you're selling your chametz to, or if, let's say a person's buying chametz from everyone in the community, for him to go to every person's house and pick up every single piece of chametz that they own, that would be a little bit complicated, and probably impossible for them to do. So that's why selling chametz can get pretty complicated, and we do a lot of different we try a lot of different ways to make the kinyan, to make the acquisition go through. So that's why person should make sure to just appoint a rav who knows what they're doing, and they're able to make that sale go through. Also, just something interesting is that the Trumas Hadashin says that even if you sell chametz and chametz doesn't belong to you, he writes that a Jew should still not have chametz in their possession. So that could present a lot of problems, right? If you can't have chametz in your house, so even if I sell my chametz to non-Jew, how is that going to work? Because we keep our chametz all. Should we like schlep our chametz to a non-Jew's house, and everyone in the community is going to take a bag of their chametz and put it in the non-Jew's house? That would get a little complicated. So what we do is that during the sale of chametz, we're not just selling our chametz, but we're even selling a little part of our land to the non-Jew as part of the sale. They're acquiring some of your land, so it's not just the sale of your chametz too, and technically wherever you're storing your chametz, it doesn't actually belong to you at that point. It belongs to the non-Jew. The big question, we'll close with this. The big question is, if I'm selling all my chametz to my non-Jew, right? Let's say I have a lot of bottles of beers or whiskey. I think it's chametz too. That if I'm selling all, and let's say I have a ton of chametz, my chametz is worth let's say $2,000, right? So where's all my money? I didn't get any money. I just sold all my chametz, and now it's Pesach. The non-Jew owns all my chametz. Where's all my money? What's going on here? So the answer is that it's similar to you can buy things on a payment plan. Like let's say someone wants to buy a couch. So if you buy a couch, let's say the couch costs $1,000. So they don't always make you pay $1,000 on the spot. You can make a down payment. You can pay $100 for the couch, and you own the couch, but you still need to pay the rest of that money. But all you paid was $100 at that point. So that's the same thing which happens for the sale of chametz. That the non-Jew, what he'll do is he'll give you a down payment for the chametz. I remember going to sell chametz with my father. We did it a few times. I got to go with him, and I would see that that the person buying the chametz, they would give like a few coins, and that would be their down payment. Maybe it would add up to, maybe it was like dollar coins. I'm not sure exactly what the coins were. I was a little young, but that was a down payment that they were agreeing to purchase a chametz for, let's say, however much, let's say it was like a couple $100,000 worth of chametz. So they're agreeing to buy all that chametz, but all they paid at that point was like $5 as a down payment. And then what happened is that when the payment is then due a little bit after Pesach ends. Okay, so now what happens? So how does the non-Jew get out of it? Because now he owes, let's say, $100,000, $200,000, and he needs to pay up, right, for all this chametz, and probably doesn't want to pay for it. So what happens? So what we do is that after Pesach, but technically the non-Jew owns all the chametz still. But what he's probably going to do is he's going to probably choose to pay back the purchase of the pay back the chametz instead of paying back with money. He's just going to pay back with the chametz itself, and so he's going to reacquire. He's going to pay back his debt. Right now he owes $199,000, right? Let's say. So instead of paying that in cash, he's going to pay it back with chametz, and then that way we get our chametz back and we own our chametz again. But it really is a full sale, and the non-Jew is just choosing to pay off his debt instead of with cash with the value of chametz. So that's a little bit of how it works. Okay, so that'll be it for our discussion tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
I have